Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Issues at Hand here on WBS TV. Your host, Peter Chibaso. This evening, we go back into the Congo. Last week on this show, David Prokol and Charles Womshuna and I had a discussion on the Congo, actually the whole Great Lakes region, Tanzania, Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda, and the possibility of a blow-up of that into, God forbid, a fully blown war, and going back to where we had been at some point, at which SADC was pit against the East African, or whatever was left of the East African community. Several stories have followed up since. We've had interaction with the representatives of the M23 in Kampala since then, and they said they would like to offer their perspective of this. And with me in the studio this evening, I have Dr. Oscar Balinda, one of the delegates at the peace negotiations in Kampala. Welcome, Doctor.
Good evening.
And good evening. Alongside Dr. Oscar Balinda, I have Lawrence Kingston Kariuka. Kariuka, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Kariuka. Communications and Media Head at...
a Deputy Head of Communication and Media.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And viewers will dig right into the issues. M23. Who funds the M23? Oscar.
Okay, M23 is funded by his members. He's got members all over the country, all over Congo. We have members in the capital, Kinshasa, members in Lubumbashi, in the Katanga province, all over the country. We have members, like my colleague here, my colleague is from the Kasai province, that's in central Congo. But we have many members. You know, the Honorable Roger Lumbala, who is an MP in this parliamentary election. He won parliamentary election, but he left the parliament and joined us. He's with us here in Kampala. I'm sure you know him. There are other many members, like Honorable Chokwe Moise, or is Chokwe, who was also elected from the Katanga province.
I have read a report, yes, and possibly you have as well, yes, by Edmond Mulet. You possibly are familiar with Edmond Mulet, yes, of the UN, the Deputy Assistant Secretary at the UN.
Yes.
And he clearly says that you're funded by governments within this region. He actually points a finger at the government of Rwanda and says you are being funded, and the government of the Congo says that actually Rwanda is helping you in recruitment, in deployment and funding. Edmond Mulet reaffirms this position and says indeed they have evidence from the ground that this is happening. Lawrence.
Well, I can say one.
I'm sure you are familiar with the report of Edmond Mulet.
Yes, indeed, but I think they try to
get Rwanda or Uganda as a scapegoat. We are not funded by those countries. Our funding, as Dr. Oscar said, comes from our members. And our recruitment, not actually we're going to the people recruitment for forces. These are the people coming themselves. They want to join the cause to actually return home. These are not actually soldiers who came for vocations. These are the people who actually come to ask the government, we want to go back home. That's why we are. There's all the refugees around the regions. They want to come back home. So there's no country around the region who funded M23. There's none.
You had an agreement that actually is your name.
Yes.
The M23's
Yes.
23rd March 2009.
Yes.
Which is basically the agreement that you signed.
That's right.
You reneged on this agreement, Oscar.
Yeah.
You went away from the agreement and instead used the nomenclature of the agreement for a name of a rebel group.
No, let me tell you. Myself, I was part of the negotiation.
True.
Yes.
True.
In January through March, January, February, and March. That started in Nairobi and finished in Goma, in Congo. So that agreement was said to bring peace in Eastern Congo, and actually there was peace since March 2009 till April 2012. You understand? So last February here in Kampala, we did the evaluation of that agreement. And the conclusions were that out of 35 points to be implemented, the government did implement only 15 points.
In how long?
In 3 years. From March 2009 up to April 2012. So the government failed to implement the agreement. So since then, myself, I was working in this stabilization and reconstruction program put in place by the government after the signature of the agreement. I was working for that program. But I resigned, I said, 1 year after. Before resigning, I wrote a letter. I said, no, this and this and this is not being implemented. And for us, say, political cadres, we left even before the military. We left, and then for the military it was a little bit difficult because there is discipline, there is everything in the military, okay? But there were also problems. They were being paid salaries different to the other government soldiers. You see?
It was the duty of the political group to seek harmonization of this, not to run away.
No, we wrote letters. We were claiming, writing letters. But
I mean, really to play the devil's advocate here.
Yes.
Oscar and Lawrence, you know very well that even within the agreement itself, you had specifically actually cut out this part of the army, did not seem fully integrated both in command. It retained nearly the whole of its command structure within the agreement, and therefore it wasn't fully integrated. It wasn't an army fully under the command of the presidency.
No, let me tell you, we have to go to the basics. Because as I was telling you here, the problem in Eastern Congo was brought mainly by the arrival of 2 million refugees from Rwanda in 1994. After committing the genocide there, they flew in Eastern Congo, okay, all along the border, as from Burundi to up to here, the Burundi border, up to here, the whole North Kivu province, whole South Kivu province. Okay? There were 2 million. And among those 2 million, about 200,000 were armed. And they entered in Congo with arms and ammunition and start training there, trying to go back and retake, overthrow power in Rwanda.
Of course, those numbers have been contested by different UN inspections. One, they say that you cannot have 200,000 armed people inside the Congo, and if they attacked, the massive force of 200,000 would have indelible impact. Have they? But also, beyond that, yes. Oscar and Lawrence, and yes. Lawrence, I come to you. Assuming indeed there are 200,000 Interahamwe or FDLRs, or Mai, whichever way you want to name them, have you taken it upon them yourselves as M23, therefore, to become the buffer that is now disposed with the duty to fight the said Interahamwe?
Well, I can say in the present time, because Dr. Scar went to the beginning of everything as it started.